In this video, I'm going to talk about what you need to get started with 8th edition Warhammer 40,000. I'm starting out with a new lighting solution here in the studio. Got a big, huge softbox over here and a reflector over here, giving me a little bit of drama. We'll see how it goes, but it shouldn't cut out like last week. So this video is coming out on June 16th, 2017, Friday. Tomorrow is the launch of the new 8th edition Warhammer 40,000. It's going to be the new starter box and the book and the indexes and a bunch of cool little gadgets and accessories and all that kind of stuff. But that'll be in the stores or shipped to your house if you pre-ordered it on the website or whatever tomorrow, depending on when you see this. But for all intents and purposes, it's the 17th. So last week I did a video talking about whether or not you should get into the new 8th edition for 40K. You can watch that up here. Ciao. The trick is that it depends, kind of, and I go more into depth in that in the video, but if you've decided, yes, this is a thing that I want to do, I want to get into 8th edition, either I want to get back into 40K, and 8th edition, the launch of it is a great place to start, or you've never played 40K before and you're thinking now is a good time. If you've made that decision and you want to do it, that's great. But there are some things you should know. Obviously, one of the most important things you should know is, what do you need? Well, I'm here to tell you about that. That's what this video is about. So, one of the first things you're going to need is the book. This is the 280-page hardcover. This is the rules for the game, 8th edition. It's all full color in here. It's got fluff, lots and lots of background information, fluff as we like to call it. Lots of cool pictures, all kinds of stuff going on in there. But then there's also the actual core rules, which admittedly are freely downloadable on the website. You can go check them out on, at least on the 17th starting, you can go download the 12-page core rules just to kind of get a feel for it. But to really play the game and to have the missions and all that kind of stuff and the deployments and the setups and the battalions, all that jazz, you kind of need this book. So this book is $60 by itself. Now, you've got two options here. They're also selling a big honkin' starter box, which is going to have nearly 1,000 points of the Primaris kind of Space Marines, who are the new kind of taller, lankier Space Marines. And it also comes with some sort of flying guys and, some stuff. And then there's also the Death Guard, who are the evil kind of nurgly chaos kind of Space Marines. And they've also got like a flying drone that goes with them and a bunch of cool stuff. They're great models. Both forces are right around 1,000 points, but not quite. And so they're great starters. You've got an HQ unit, you've got some troops. They're a great thing that you can start with. But if you don't want to play either of those armies, then you're going to want to do something else. You're going to want to get this book separately, because this book comes in the starter. The same big, thick, hardcover book comes in the starter box. So if you buy the starter box because you want to play one of those armies, or you want to play both those armies, whatever, you'll also get this. If you don't want to play either of those armies, or if you already have your armies figured out, you've already got models from back when you used to play, or you want to play a different set other than Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines, then you can just buy the book separately. It's $60. The starter box with all the models and stuff is $160. So I think it seems like a good value, because you're getting a $60 book in there and then also a whole bunch of really cool models. So let's say you do want to play an army that's not one of the two that comes in the big starter box. Okay, great. First thing you got to do, like I said, buy the big hardcover. But then you need an index. If you've played in the past, there used to be codexes, and there was a separate codex for each army, and there were, 15 or 16 or 18 of them, a whole bunch. And they would update them sort of not that regularly, and eventually you'd get a new one, and then you'd look through it and everything. With this new edition, this is the first time in a really long time, since like 2nd or 3rd edition, since they just decided we're starting over. So now, all those codexes you might see in your game shop right now, they're not going to be used anymore. And what you need to do now is buy an index. There are 5 different indexes. They're $25 a piece. They're softcover. But they're still, it's all full color and artwork and photography and some stuff in there and everything like that. But these are the books that have all of the information, what's known as the data sheets. If you want to know the strength and toughness and the wounds and how many times they get to attack and all that stuff, it's all in these books. Now, there are, like I said, 5 of them. 2 of them are for the Imperium. This is Imperium 2, and this is Imperium 1. You need to kind of pick, like if you've decided to go with, let's say you're going to play, I don't know, Dark Angels, okay? You would want Imperium 1 here. I'm getting a bad glare. This has got Space Marines, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Grey Knights, Death Watch, and Legion of the Damned. I went over this in the last video, but just to keep it in mind, go onto the website or go to your local store with the idea in mind of what army it is you want to play. It's an army you already have, maybe partially painted, maybe fully painted. You haven't played in a long time. Or maybe you've got an idea and you want to play, you know what army, but you don't own any of the models yet. You're going to need at least one of these. If you own multiple armies, you may need multiples. But you may not. The Xenos here, this is basically all Eldar and also Necrons. So if those are your 2 armies, you only need 1 book. So that's kind of cool. Or if you're really into Tau, and you're really into Tyranids, and you're really into Orcs, and Genestealer cults, this is the other Xeno book, and all 4 of those guys are in there. So you have a chance that you might not have to buy multiple books. If you're into Chaos, all the Chaos is in 1 book. So you want to figure out which of these $25 books you're going to need. If you want to buy multiples, certainly knock yourself out. But at bare minimum, you need to buy at least one of these to get all the stats and information and the stuff that you need so that you can play and figure out how to use your army. So lastly, if you're not going to be buying the big starter box and either go in Space Marines or gross Space Marines, you're going to have to buy some models to play with. Now, the trick is that in the last year, maybe year and a half, Games Workshop has started putting out these box sets that are called Start Collecting. They're $85 American, and they're really a great value. Most of them, basically, if you add up all the stuff in the box, there's usually one big thing in that box that is free. Like let's say and this is technically for Age of Sigmar, but if you buy the Seraphon box, which is basically the fancy term for the lizard men, all the models in that box, if you add them all up, they come to about $85 retail. But then there's one more giant honkin' Carnosaur type creature in there who is an $85 model. So it's kind of like you get him for free. These are some of the best deals that Games Workshop makes right now, these Start Collecting boxes, okay? So there are Start Collecting boxes out there for Tau, for Orcs, for Space Marines, for, I think, Space Wolves maybe. I'm going from memory here now, so I'm going to start messing up. I know there is for Skitarii and a bunch of different ones. So those boxes pretty much always come with at least a single HQ unit, and they always come with at least a decent amount of troops and some other stuff. So take a look at those. Maybe you end up buying 1, maybe you end up buying 2. Now you think to yourself, well, why would I need duplicate HQ units? You know, I understand why I would need maybe 2 units of troops, because troops are troops and they all kind of look alike anyway, right? Which, you know, I don't mean to disparage against the troops, but it's just the fact of the matter. But you don't need 2 of this particular HQ unit, do you? Well, one suggestion is maybe you use that one to paint him differently and maybe, you know, try some cool things on him. Or maybe you use him to put on eBay and make a little bit of money back so that you can put that towards other models. That's another option, something to think about. So those Start Collecting boxes, whether you buy one of them and then add on some other troops and things to them, or whether you buy a couple of them and then kind of go from there, maybe sell off a couple of parts or trade with your friends, they are great, great pieces to be able to use so that you can really get your army, your 40K army started. So honestly, that's about it. You need the hardcover book, and you can either get that in the starter box if you want to go with one of those armies that come in the starter box, or you can buy the hardcover book separately. You need at least one index that has the information for the army that you want to play, and then you need some models. And like I said, those Start Collecting sets are great places to start collecting, hence why they're called that, I bet. That's pretty much about it. Now, I'm taking into consideration here that you already have probably paints and glues and all that kind of stuff, dice, tape measures, whatever. If you don't have, say, all the hobby stuff, paints and glues and brushes and such, you should probably do some more searching on YouTube here and try to find some other videos about what you're going to need to get started. I don't have time in this video to be able to kind of tell you about that stuff, but there's plenty of places out there, things you can find. But if you've got all that stuff, then you're pretty much set once you get the main hardcover book, the index, and some models. And if you've already got the models, because you used to play a long time ago, or your older sister used to play, or something along those lines, then you're even closer to starting to have some real fun with a new edition of 8th edition 40K. I'm going to end it there.